Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far. So today we're back talking about new or upcoming makeup releases. What are we talking about? Who knows? And whether I'm going to buy them, whether I'm interested in them, whether I think you're going to be worth your money or not so much. As always with these videos, I must shout out these incredible Instagram accounts. This is where I find out about all these makeup releases, and a lot of the photos that you guys see in these types of videos are these people's original photos because they are always first with the makeup news and the new release tea. So if you're interested in knowing what I'm going to be picking up and what I'm going to be passing on and why, keep watching. So first up, let's talk about the Natasha Denona Glam face palette. Now, as you guys know, I already own the dark version. I've had that palette for months. I've been keeping it a secret. I daren't talk about it. I daren't post about it because I wasn't allowed, and these kind of posts get taken down and copyright strikes happen when you do that too soon. So I was waiting for it to be revealed by the brand before I could post about it, and finally I was allowed to do that. Finally, the cat is out the bag and we can talk about those palettes. But I only had the dark palette. I did not have the light version. So am I interested in, lots of you guys have been asking me, am I going to review the light version? Am I going to pick up the light version? And the answer is yes, I am going to pick up the light version, provided it comes to feel unique. I don't really plan on reviewing this. I'm sure I'll give you my thoughts and maybe use it in a video, like a trying new makeup type video at some point, but obviously I don't have it yet. It's been out now. It's getting a little late to do a review. You guys have already seen it. A lot of you will already have purchased it or decided against purchasing it. So for those reasons, I want to get a bargain and I want to wait until it comes to feel unique, when Natasha Denona is my brand for life. So I'll get 10% off automatically on feel unique. And I also have a load of points, like loyalty points saved up there, which means I'll get it for like half the price. So I'm going to wait until it comes to feel unique. But yes, I love the dark version. I've seen lots of reviews now of the light version and it looks beautiful, and I think they're different enough for me that I will use both. They kind of give you a different look. I feel like the light palette, for my skin tone, I feel like the light palette is like daytime and the dark palette is nighttime, and that's kind of the vibes that they give me, and I'm definitely interested in trying the light version. The only thing that will change my mind is if something similar comes out that excites me more in the meantime, which stranger things have happened. I'm really enjoying my dark version, and that makes me excited to try the light as well, because I do think they are different. Definitely, like in the eyeshadow look that you will get is quite different, and I just love using the dark, so I'm excited to try the light as well. Next up, let's talk about REM Beauty. So this is Ariana Grande's makeup line. She's launched a whole line in one straight off the bat, not just one or two products. She's come out with an entire range for her initial launch, which is quite exciting, I'm sure. This whole collection, I mean, I don't know if this is even going to be available here. Usually these collections aren't. These sort of celebrity, US-based celebrity, they tend to be like stocked in Sephora sometimes or their own website, and you could get it here, but the shipping will cost you an arm and a leg. At minimum, probably several fingers and maybe a foot too. So anything like this, I have to really want it. It has to be special, it has to be different, and yeah, this I feel like is none of those things. I love Ariana Grande as much as the next guy. I think she's very talented. I think she's very beautiful. I think she has a glorious singing voice from the angels. Does any of this makeup excite me? No. I feel, here's the thing. Bear with. I feel like the target audience of this line is just not me. I'm not the target audience. Obviously, Ariana, I mean, she has fans, sure. I'm sure she has older fans, for sure. But I feel like her general audience is a lot younger than me. Probably half my age. Probably less than that. Probably tweens, teenagers, young teens, early 20s. I feel like that's probably her target market, her demographic. The body of her audience is probably in that sort of 13 to 25 range, and I don't belong in that range, and I therefore feel like none of this really appeals to me. These kind of single eyeshadows, Some of the colours are a little interesting. Some of them are very boring. The eyeshadow palette, very, very, you know, safe, very, very samey of what we've already seen. And I just don't need nor want any of this. None of it really appeals to me or excites me. None of it is anything that I would really use. And I just think that's the case of, like, I'm just not the target market. And that's okay. Next up, let's talk about this Rose Quartz eyeshadow palette from Huda Beauty. This has actually been out a little while now. Reviews are coming in. I've seen some stunning looks with this eyeshadow palette. Beautiful looks with this eyeshadow palette. I'm confused as to why that moldy shade is in here again. I'm confused about that because all of the feedback that I saw with people with that shadow was, good God, no, please no. It looks really, really unappealing. It looks weird, and actually its performance, nobody really liked using it either. I saw a huge number of people actually scooping it out just to be rid of looking at it, and then it's gone back in this next palette. So I'm a bit confused by that. I mean, obviously brands don't have to listen to feedback and don't have to do what we say, but I was then even more confused by the fact that there's now these highlighters that are like a giant version of that shadow that I feel like everybody was screaming, we don't like that, Huda. And instead of going, okay, you know, actually we tried something, people don't like it, it didn't work, that's cool, we'll move on, we'll try something different. They went, let's make a giant version. Maybe it was too small last time, make it bigger, people will love it. And I don't know that that's how this works. But that's just me. That's just my feelings on that weird looking science experiment in the middle. That instantly puts me right off this whole palette. I, however, love the fact that it's a bit different. Love the fact the packaging is gorgeous. Love it. I feel like Huda nails her packaging a lot of the time. The shades, I feel like they offer us something different. There's lots of nice cool tones in there, and it's very, very pretty, very festive as well, very Christmassy, appropriate, I feel. So yeah, I think it's going to be a very successful, very pretty palette. I think lots of people will love it, but it's not for me for several reasons. One, I don't love Huda's formulas. I feel like there are better formulas. They're not cheap palettes, they're quite pricey palettes. And I'd much rather spend like £5 more and have a midi Natasha Denona than I would these types of palettes from Huda. For me, I don't love the formula. I find it quite dry. As far as the mattes, the shimmers are okay, can be quite fallouty, but yeah, it's not my favourite formula. This colour story, I think, again, is okay, but I don't need it and I'm not especially drawn to it. Next up, let's talk about these Lisa Eldridge Liquid eyeshadows. Now, this is a brand that I feel I am in the demographic, the target market of, and therefore everything she puts out massively speaks to me. These kind of liquid cream shadows, I don't know, I had a moment, I feel like everybody had a moment with the Stila version of this type of product, and I definitely had a moment with those where I used them a lot. I've definitely moved on from using those kinds of products. I can't say I've used them that type of product a lot. Even like a cream shadow like the Charlotte Tilbury Potts Eyes to Mesmerize that I like and I think perform really well, I typically reach for my eyeshadow palettes over those. So these were available in Lisa's pop-up store that she did in Covent Garden, which is where I used to live. Ironically, that now I'm a million miles away. I could have just popped round the corner on my lunch break before, but no longer the case. So these were available like to look at, which is how come we've got swatches and information about them. They're not released yet, but they must be coming very soon if she was kind of showing them in store and people are allowed to swatch them and things. I feel like Lisa doesn't hang about. Once she's got a product ready to go, it typically comes out within the next few weeks. So I think we'll see this very, very soon. I haven't really seen many reviews of these, like because people weren't allowed to buy them and kind of use them on their eyes. All I've seen is swatches. They look gorgeous, glorious, beautiful. I feel like Lisa can do no wrong. I've loved everything I've tried from the brand, so I will absolutely be picking at least a couple of these up because I just love Lisa and I just want to try everything she makes. These look beautiful and I'm open to change. That might be a lie. Next up, we have this eyeshadow palette from Byredo. This is the Fetes Noirs. Sorry about my terrible accent, but it's this gorgeous, dark, very dark and mysterious, some would say, palette. Here's the thing, I haven't tried any makeup from the brand, but I have seen swatches and I have seen reviews of their previous palette, and it was so pretty, gorgeous, very, very beautiful. I believe the formula is decent. This colour story is not for me. I don't know where I would wear this. I think on the one hand, this is stunning and gorgeous, and I love the colour story. It's so dark and just, I can see some stunning looks coming from certain creators. I can see it. I can see lots of very talented people who do much bolder eyeshadow than I do doing stunning things with this. But ultimately, this is just a not for me kind of thing. This is like almost £60, this eyeshadow palette. Again, I want to use this. I want to be able to get wear out of this. There's nowhere I would wear these shades. Some people would wear these on the school run. That's not typically my vibe. I'm much more boring and vanilla than that. Okay, if you hadn't got that memo, I sit in very soft glam most of the time. Very little colour going on here. Black all up on my eye is like, it's maybe New Year's Eve. Maybe that's the time I would do that. Rarely ever. So, you know, one time a year, unlikely. And to be honest, New Year's Eve these days, it's like we have a bit of a dance party in the lounge and we see how long the kids can stay awake for, if they can watch the fireworks. And me and my husband play games and do jigsaw puzzles, and we usually get a takeaway. So I don't know that I'd even wear it on that one day anymore, to be honest. But I think this is gorgeous, beautiful on people who live a very different life from me. Knock yourself out. But for me, it's just, it doesn't fit in with like my life choices. Yeah. Next up, let's talk briefly, because I feel like everyone and his friend will know the answer to this one, and it's the Lisa Eldridge foundation. The answer is yes. Yes, I will, and have it already, have bought it. The reason I want to just let you know that that's what's happened, even though it seems obvious, I reviewed this foundation but using the blister packs. So maybe some of you are interested to know, did I actually buy a bottle, buy the full version, and also what shade did I buy? Now, I did definitely get a little confused when it came to testing the shades. I think often what happens when there's a very good shade range with a lot of numbers, with a wide number of with a large number of shades to choose from, and lots of those shades that kind of could be your shade and that could work, I get a bit overwhelmed. If like I get confused. Usually it's like, well, there's one that says medium with neutral or olive undertones, so that's my shade. When there's like 10 that kind of fit the description of my skin tone, then it's like, oh crikey, don't know what to do anymore. So that's the issue I had with this foundation. I went back and forth, back and forth. So the shades that kind of worked, I mean, all of the shades I tried, I could pull off. They're so forgiving, the undertones of this foundation. But the two that I was like, these are the two to choose between, was 17, which is, I think, golden olive undertones, and 19, which was neutral. The 17 was quite light for me when I tried the swatches, and the 19 was much better, but like the undertone wasn't as good. So I went with 19. That's the shade I picked up just because it's going to work better for me right now. The next olive shade was 23, which is definitely too deep for me now. I think that would be my summer shade, would be 23, but much too deep for me now, especially now we're going into winter. I'm not going to be able to use it for very long. So I went with 19. That's what I've got on today, and it's fine, but it is quickly going to be too dark. So I am going to go back and order 17 as well. And for a while I'll mix the two, and then as winter settles right in, I'll move over to 17. So that's just some little shade information and confirmation that yes, I did pick it up, and yes, I do love it. Next up, speaking of Miss Eldridge, Lancome's Emily in Paris. I think this looks like it's a whole collection, but I especially want to talk about this eyeshadow palette. Oh, I mean, I loved Emily in Paris. I just think, I know like for some people it's really cheesy and it's really cliche and all of the above, but I love a bit of cheese and a bit of cliches at times. It breaks up the usual like murder mystery, psycho serial killer television that I generally watch. Sometimes I need a bit of fluff. I need to recover. you know? And sometimes when my husband is traveling away for work, it's not wise to watch that type of program. Things like that, can't sleep at night. So yeah, Emily in Paris, it's got its place in my life. I thought it was just cheerful and fun. So it looks like Lancome are doing a collection kind of dedicated to Emily in Paris, and who knows when it's coming. It says just coming soon on Trend. Oh no, it doesn't. It says November. I lied to you. I'm so sorry. It's coming any moment. It's coming very, very soon. So there's lipsticks. There's like a special bottle of some of their skincare. What else have we got here? That looks to be about, it looks like there's maybe like a makeup bag or something like that, and then this eyeshadow palette. Now, I was very close to buying the last palette that they made in this heart shape. I love the packaging. I think it's really cute and different. I like the layout of the shadows and everything. As far as this colour story, I'm just not sure. I like it for Lancome because it's a bit different and it's a bit out there and it's quite nice and cool toned. I like the colours for this time of year, but it stays in that sort of wearable, will I use it bracket. But the thing is, I'm just so unfamiliar with their formula. I know nothing about Lancome's eyeshadow formula. I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's worth the money. I don't know if it's worth the try. But I think if it comes out here in decent time, I'll pick up the eyeshadow palette for review purposes so we can all answer and find out those questions, those burning questions together. Let's do that. And worst case scenario, I save you guys all your precious hard-earned pennies. And that's always a bonus. There's a lot of eyeshadow palettes today, so I can only apologise, but that seems to be what's dropping like hotcakes at the moment. So I can only apologise, you know, I can only go with what we've got. But let's talk about these Mario quads. Again, a brand that I really like. A lot of what he's doing, I'm here for it. There's definitely been some hits from him, definitely been some misses. I love his customer service. I love his shipping to the UK. It's amazing, really, really quick and easy and affordable. And I like his packaging. I like a lot of stuff about this brand, but these quads are just so unnecessary is the word I'm looking for. I don't want to say boring because I like boring. I like boring eyeshadow. I like boring colours. I can't get enough of it. I can't be bored enough, in fact. But I have like so many of these types of colours and shades, and it's just, I could not possibly need any more. I think as far as eyeshadow, I liked Mario's formula. I have his mattes, his original palette, and I like it, but it doesn't wow me. Is what I'm saying. I haven't tried his shimmer formula yet, just his mattes. But yeah, so I just think when I own Bieber and I own Charlotte Tilbury's Pillow Talk and I own Mario's original mattes, more of these sort of neutrals, soft, like everyday shades, I could not possibly need it or want it. And so it's a very easy pass for me. And next, let's talk about something a little different. This is the Ford Ebene Fume fragrance. I lost my marbles when I saw this. I got very excited, and it's not because I'm a huge fan of Tom Ford fragrance. In fact, quite the opposite. I only own, I think, a couple of Tom Ford fragrances, Black Orchid, and I've tried the Tobacco Vanille, very famous, very popular fragrance. The issue I have with Tom Ford fragrances, the reason I don't buy any more of them, is I find generally the performance is awful. It's terrible, it's not worth the price. And I find like the vast majority, in fact, all of the niche fragrance brands that I love perform 1,000 times better. And so there's no point for me in buying a fragrance. Yes, sure, I like the smell, but if I cannot smell it and neither can anybody else, why have I just spent £200? That's my question to you. So that's how I feel about Tom Ford. I've had a lot of questions over the years about Tom Ford. Do you like Tobacco Vanille? I like this. If I was to spray it on my wrist, I would tell you I like the smell of it. It's right up my street. However, in 5 minutes time, I can't smell it. Nobody else can smell it. And it's just settled down into a very standard vanilla for me. That's how I feel about that fragrance. They just do not perform on me. And I know that's very subjective. For some people, they will. On me, they absolutely do not. This one I was excited about because the initial reviews when it started to be sneaked, I think it was previewed somewhere, so I read the initial reviews, are that this is like Tom Ford's old school performance. It's back to where his like original fragrances came from as far as performance. It's way longer lasting, the projection is way better, and it's just something different from the brand, and lots of people were raving about it, which hasn't been the case for Tom Ford for a little while, as far as, certainly as far as performance of his fragrances. So this one got me excited. It also ticked a lot of boxes. It sounded smoky, woodsy, spicy, warming, lots of the tick boxes I look for when it comes to fragrance. So we didn't really know when this was coming out, didn't really know the price of it. And when my husband went to Norway with work a couple of weeks ago, he found it at Heathrow. It was in Heathrow's Tom Ford counter. They had the bottles of it and the price was incredible. I think it was £144, a lot less than I was expecting. That's for the 50ml. They only had the 50ml. So anyway, he picked me up a bottle and it's winging its way back here as we speak. So yes, I was very excited to try this one. Yes, I will let you know in a future video how much I like it and how I'm getting on with it and whether it lives up to the hype. Very excited to try this one and get to know it. Yeah, it sounds like it's going to tick a lot of my boxes. It's just a case of, is it going to actually perform on me? We'll have to see. And last but not least, let's talk about Scott Barnes Snatchural 2 palette. This dropped like out of the air from nowhere. So it would seem, it would just suddenly was like, boom, it's here. And there was no sneak peeks, there was no build up, there was no leaks. Well done. Somebody is on the ball with that. Good to see, good to see. But yes, so this is obviously who's Tom Barnes? Obviously Scott Barnes. Obviously Scott Barnes released the Snatchural palette. It was very, very popular. I don't think I've tried anything from Scott Barnes yet, you know. It's not easy to get hold of here. I believe his website, unlike Mario's, is more expensive and crazy shipping to the UK. They did have a couple of stockists, but they don't seem to get everything. So I think it was either Feel Unique or Look Fantastic who was stocking them. And it just never really, like a lot of stuff never really arrives there, or if it does, it's really late. So yeah, it's a bit hit and miss as to whether we're actually going to get this and how I'll be able to get it. But this looks, I mean, the first thing is that I noticed, it very much looks like the Hourglass singles to me. Like the gold around the shadows, that I instantly was like, that looks very like the Hourglass ones. It just reminded me of that. The swatches I've seen, speak to me. This looks very cool toned. I saw my girl Brit, she did a live just showing this palette with, like, she'd hauled it. I haven't seen her yet do a tutorial. Hopefully it's coming soon because she can do colour like nobody's business. And this is just, oh, it does speak to me. It's got those cool tones, it's icy. It's got enough mattes to shimmers. A lot about this really appeals to me. If I can get it and I can get it easily, I 100% want to pick this up. I definitely was the first product from the brand that I was like, oh, heart eyes. So there you have it. Those are all the new releases that I have to talk to you about today and my thoughts on them. Please let me know what your thoughts are on these new releases down below, if they're different to mine, if you agree with anything. I love to know you guys' opinion on the new releases as well. I hope you enjoyed this video and I'd love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.